All right, we are going to jump on the scales. We have just finished up with week 4. Let's see how you guys did last week. That's where we're at now. All right, we have some standings. After 4 weeks, in 6th place, down 2.6 pounds, 2.2%, Susan. In 5th place, down 7.2 pounds, 3.43%, Deborah. 4th place, down 9.7 pounds, 4.36%, getting ready to have that baby any day, Miss Catherine. In 3rd place, down 10.3 pounds, 4.86%, Donna. 2nd place, down 17.6 pounds, 5.26%, Laura. In 1st place, down 11.2 pounds, 7.46%, Miss Hannah. Awesome job to all of you. New decades this week. Laura is in a brand new decade. Laura is in the 3 teens. So exciting. And so tonight, we're going to be diving into something that really is critical for you to move into the future, because we have to overcome the past. We have to bury the past. We have to get over the past to move into the future. And so often people can hold on to the past, or they focus on the past, and that keeps us from fully moving into the future. And so for some of you, you have things written on your paper from times when you were both sizes, smaller and bigger. And then there's some of you that were like me. The smallest I can ever remember being was a size 7 in the 7th grade. So I didn't have a time that I was ever really picked on for being small. Ever, 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 up until, 2015, when I lost all the weight. And so what happens is people say stuff, they say snarky comments, they say rude things, and most of the time we blow it off and we pretend like it doesn't bother us. But what happens is, if we don't really overcome it, how many of you have ever had somebody say something to you, and then you've replayed those words inside of your head over and over and over again, years later, sometimes decades later, you can still hear that going through your head. I can still remember, this was, up until just 5 years ago, I had to get rid of this one. So I can remember my maiden name is Utenhove. And so the kids on the bus used to call me Uten Heifer. And I would be like, I would hate it. I hated my last name. I couldn't wait to marry it off. And I said it was because it was long. But the truth was, it's because I associated that name with getting made fun of for being overweight. And, and so I would say things like that to myself. Oh, Uten Heifer. Oh, they think you look like a cow. I would repeat those things to myself all the way into adulthood. And it wasn't until, and so my identity had been shaped. Most of our identities are shaped by us gobbling up all of these other people's opinions and what people have said and what people have thought. And you can't go on and create this new identity. You can't go create this new body. You can't go create this new person that you're trying to create as long as we've got these old programs, these old discs running around in your head being replayed. And so the only way to get rid of them is to destroy them, to round up them, to kill the root and get rid of them, because most people don't talk about them. We keep them in darkness. They're still in there. And what we don't shine the light on, what we keep in darkness, ultimately controls us. It's only when we shine light on it that we can be rid of it, that we can be gone. It can be gone and we can move on from it. And so I say all that to say tonight, you're going to get out what you put into this. You're going to get out exactly what you put into this. And so I want to encourage you to go for it, to write down any of the things. And you're going to have things that other people have said. And then all of us have this other culprit called ourselves, of things we've said to and about ourselves, ways we've torn ourselves down. So there's things that all the other people have said, starting some of us from the time we were little to some of us just last week. Things we've perceived. And by not getting rid of this, I'll give you this example. I want you to, let's just say we have a dog named Fido. And Fido comes in the house and Fido craps on the floor. And I take my rug and I cover it up. We can know, now if I cover it up with the rug, can we see the poop? The poop is gone. We can't see it, but you can still smell it. And if Fido keeps pooping in the house and I keep covering it up, you can't see it, but it really is stinky. And it's the same way. And it'll start rotting the floor. It'll start rotting the rug. It'll start rotting all those things from the inside out. And that's what this stuff does to us. If we just keep covering up and shoving it down and internalizing it. And this is something we have to do regularly. We have to do regularly. And so, because no matter how much we pretend it's not there, it is, unless we get rid of it.
I grew up a little Amish girl, so just keep that in mind. And so the way my parents, I love my family, love my family. But when I went through my divorce, a lot of very hurtful things were said and done to me that was very traumatizing, because I got shunned for like 5 years. And so some of these things come from that. Some are way earlier than that, but anyway. So I remember in school being told that I need to be quiet, and they get tired of hearing me talk. They would rather have my sister talk. That I overheard my mom have a conversation with my sister, and she told my sister that I am a thistle, a sticker, and Carol is a rose. And I was just crushed. Growing up, numerous times I was told to be quiet. When I went through my divorce, I was told to not contact my family. I got letters, I got phone calls. I am not worth spending any money on. They would not help me. They would rather not give me anything, or give it to somebody else, because I'm not worthy of all of that. I have several of my sisters, so there's 3 of us, so 2 of them, one is on a farm, and she works really hard. And so my family, whenever they come out to see her, and they give everything to her, and it's very obvious, the favoritism. And I was not wanting to harbor the resentment, and so I asked my brother, I said, is my perception wrong on this? Because at some time or other, my whole family has come out, because we all live in different states. They had either gone to Virginia or to Florida, or my sister here in Oklahoma, or back in Ohio. They've all come together to surprise a sibling for a birthday. And I've not had a surprise party yet. So, but I always go to theirs. Anyway, so it's there, and I also had a time when you're in business and when you're an entrepreneur, at some point or another, not always, but it's not unusual, you might be involved in a lawsuit of some kind, whether it's your fault or not. That's just how it runs. So I was involved or named in a lawsuit. I did not do anything wrong. However, my brother took it upon himself to call several of the other people or that would have known about it in the community. And they informed him that I might as well just move. There's no way I'll ever make anything of myself. Nobody likes me, and I'm not going to be able to make a living doing what I'm doing, which don't ever tell me I can't do anything, because I'll prove it. But I had a lot of ill feelings and resentment, and still to this day with my family, even though because of the way I was raised, I was never, nobody ever asked me, nobody has ever asked me about my feelings. Nobody's ever asked me to forgive me for them. I'm always the strong one. Mom always says, well, you're always the strong one. You're always the one that comes through. But then I don't know. When you hear your mom say that you're a sticker and your sisters are roses, that just burns, and it hurts. And when you realize that I just feel like I'm never good enough. I just feel like no matter how successful I am never good enough, and that I am not, that I cannot measure up to their standards. So either I'm talk too much, or I'm too loud, or they make fun of, I remember when we had a store, and it was my job to go talk to one of the customers that came in. He was smoking a cigarette. There's no smoking in cigarettes. And so I proceeded to go tell him in a very nice way, that we don't allow that. And they always just made fun of me. And so stuff like that, whether I realized it or not, it hurts and it bothers me, because I know how they think or feel about me. And so I would say probably most of my issues are with my family, and not measuring up or being good enough.
I wrote down 4 different things. This was at a family gathering, actually, a funeral of one of Frank's uncles. My mother-in-law introduced me and my sister-in-law, Frank's sister, as her healthy daughters. And what she was saying is we were overweight. But that was years ago. I've been asked before if I was expecting, and when the baby was due. Obviously, that was several years ago, since I'm in my 60s now. My husband tells me I'm beautiful all the time, and I don't feel it. The scale tells me something different. I'm overweight, but he tells me every day that I'm beautiful. The last thing, and this is funny, but and I always remember it. I was rubbing my daddy's arms or shoulders or something, and he said I was too rough, and I had those typewriter hands. So if you remember the old keys, the old typewriters where you had to bang them, he thought my hands were strong, and he said that I was too rough on massaging his shoulders or his arms with my typewriter hands.
So I'm glad you mentioned that we need to be on this list, because I count myself blessed that I had to dig so deep to really think about if or when anyone else said something that hurt me. My list for myself is like, probably won't say every single one, but I definitely am very mean to myself sometimes. But as far as the, things that other people have said, Laura mentioned like the perception thing, and I think a lot of mine is perception, just because I have a small family, it's mostly like when we do get-togethers, it's me, my mom, my dad, my brother, maybe my grandma and grandpa on one side. My other grandparents are in heaven, but my mom's side of the family is very like skinny and all about, like, just appearance and stuff. And I've heard them so many times talk about other people to where you start thinking like, wow, you're like just so brazenly talking about other people so negatively. I can't even fathom what you're saying about me. So a lot of it is that. So that's something that I need to let go and not worry about what other people might be thinking of me. But I will mention one that still gets me that I mentioned in season 7, that it just goes to show that you don't have to necessarily be super connected, or it doesn't have to be a loved one or someone close to you. But I remember feeling really cute. I was in season 7, so I had lost some weight, and I had a cute outfit on, and I'm driving through the parking lot, and I guess I had stolen somebody's parking spot because as I'm walking in feeling cute and a little bit skinny, a car full of people, she yells out the window, "Fat B," but she said the word. And I can still feel the stinging in my eyes of like, I think I'm about to burst into tears, and I mentioned that if she had called me an ugly bee or a broke bee or, whatever, but it was like fat bee, I'm like, it hurt so bad and I was feeling good. So stuff like that, it can be a random stranger that just crushes you. Words do have power. And then I also remember, this wasn't even that long ago, a lady at the mall. I remember mall walking specifically to get Bath and Body Works stuff, and I see this store with all these sparkly dresses, and it said something about a clearance rack, and I go in and I say, where is your clearance rack? And she goes, "Oh, we don't sell plus size clothes." And I'm like, oh, whoa, like that hurt. So yeah, that's the extent of my list of others. But for myself, a lot of my internal dialogue is just having to do with the fact that I'm 28, I'm having my 5th kid, and I would never ever change having kids for the world. But a lot of times I am hearing myself say like, your youth is like gone. I see other 28-year-olds who have no kids or 1 kid or 2 kid, and they still look young. And I noticed this is the first pregnancy where I like got a spider vein, and my mom has always warned me. She's like, don't worry if you get spider veins, they run in the family. I'm like, no. And the wrinkle thing, and just I remember my family like hearing them say, "Oh, I got my first set of Botox when I was like 24." I'm like in my head thinking, "Oh my gosh, I am so like I must be like just tore up to my family." So yeah, that's, I mean, like that I'm used goods. My youth is, being rushed out of me. Another one is like I'll always be fat as long as I'm a stay-at-home mom, because I'm just like living surrounded by food, and I'm not good with self-control. So yeah, I can be pretty brutal to myself.
All right, so I organized my list, so I will start with the things that I have perceived. So let me start by saying I'm really impressed with everyone else for holding it together. I'll be the first one to fall apart. When I was a teenager, we went to this church, and there was just a few of us girls that were around the same age, so like 10 and 11, and there was a much larger group of girls that were older, right? They were the cool teenage girls, and the couple of girls that were around my age, their older sister was in that cool girl group, so they were always kind of accepted. I was not. And at that point in my life, I perceived it as, well, I'm not accepted because I'm different. And the only thing that made me different from them was my weight. And so that has stuck with me for a really long time. And then I know I've shared with the group that this is my third and last time to lose the weight, and I'm going to stay at my healthy weight. But the first time was when I was in high school. And I don't even remember what I got down to. I know I didn't get to the weight that I am currently. But then when I went to college, freshman 15 really kicked in. And there was this guy in college that I had a crush on. And only a few people knew that I liked this person. And no one ever said anything unkind about it, but there was this sense, or I perceived that there was this sense of almost like they felt bad for me for having a crush on this guy, because like clearly I would never get with him, right? He was cute at the time. I don't know if he still is. I should look him up. It would be kind of satisfying if he wasn't cute now, right? But yeah, it was just this sense that, oh, you know, feel so bad that she likes him because she'll never be with him. So those were the things that came to my mind that I've perceived, things that other people have said. Several years ago, I don't even remember when it was, but it was at least more than 5-6 years ago. I worked for an employer that required us to get a flu shot, and I was standing in line, and I didn't wear clothes to work that I didn't feel reasonably cute in. And so I was standing there waiting for my shot, and this woman behind me said, "Oh, is it safe to get the flu shot while pregnant?" And it caught me so off guard because I was not pregnant. And I just looked at her very blankly and was like, "I don't know." And I went back to my phone. And the most awkward part was that I had to continue standing in line with her for like the next 5 to 6 minutes, and just like ignoring the fact that she had just assumed that I was pregnant. And I remember I went back to this little office that my team and I shared. And I was like, well, guess I'll be throwing this shirt away tonight. And I'm pretty sure I did throw it away. I don't think I ever, well, I probably would have put it in the donation pile, but I never wore that shirt again. And then when I was 11 or 12, I was at a church youth camp. And so the church that had the teenage girls that I had mentioned earlier, there was a point where we stopped attending that church, but we all still went to the same church camp. And so now that I'm putting that timeline together, I was probably older than 11 or 12. So this might've been closer to 13 or 14. But we were all standing in line one day, and there was one of the teenage boys who said something in my direction, and he referenced Chubby Checker, which I didn't know who that was then. And to be honest, I didn't even know it until this morning. I was like, I should probably know what we're talking about. And so I actually Googled Chubby Checker this morning, and turns out he is a singer. But at 13, 14, no one in that age group at that time would have known who this person was. And it didn't matter, right? It didn't matter who that person was, because like message was received, right? It was, for me, I received the message. It was said towards me, and it was the fact that I was chubby. And then my sweet mama does not wear makeup. And when I was a teenager, me trying to figure out how to wear makeup was not going well. And so my aunt very kindly scheduled a Mary Kay party where they actually teach you how to put on makeup. And I was the only person invited, which I absolutely love how kind my aunt was. But this struck me this morning when I was getting dressed and putting on my makeup for today, that one of the things that I learned at that makeup party was how to apply your blush so that it slimmed your face. And so I was like 14 or 15, and like what 14 or 15-year-old girl needs to know how to make her face look thinner. And it hit me today when I was putting my blush on in the exact same way, that the woman taught me that because she thought I needed to make my face look slimmer. So those are the things that I've perceived or things that I remember that others have said about me. But Catherine, I relate. It's my longest list is me. And yeah, so for me, it's the adjectives, right? It's the things, and I realized this while we were talking. Anytime that I'm starting to say something negative about myself, I always start it with the phrase of, look at how fill in the blank you are. And so like, I can remember looking in the mirror and being like, look how disgusting you are. Look at how awful you look. Your thighs are massive. Your face is so fat. And then when I would start on the journey, I would, have a really good week, sticking to my plan, and then maybe something would go off plan. I would tell myself like, gosh, you're so stupid. You're so stupid. You can't even stick to a plan long enough to lose weight. You always screw it up. And I know a few weeks ago, I shared in our group, like my before photos, like from this time last year. And I realized then, if I had realized at the moment that I was taking what would have been my true before pictures, I would have worn something different in them. But I realized this morning that I didn't even really consider those to be my before photos, because I knew, and I told myself in the back of my head that I would just screw it up again. I never let myself wear shorts or sleeveless tops because no one wants to see all that. And then, like you were saying, Carmen, I look at photos and I just pick myself apart. A couple of years ago, I wasn't even at the weight that I am now, but I was in an okay place. And we had some family photos done, and there was this one picture that I just loved. I loved of us. And the one thing that I saw was this tiny little fat roll hanging over my jeans. And I know just enough about Photoshop that I Photoshopped that out. And I Photoshopped it out because my husband wanted to order a canvas of it for his parents for Christmas. And so it still hangs in their living room. And I think I'm actually going to ask her if she can take it down, because I think now every time that I look at it, I'm just going to see how I hated my body enough that I spent an hour Photoshopping out a tiny little fat roll. And then the other thing is my wedding photos. We got engaged in April and married in August. And, I know on the day of, I don't remember not feeling beautiful on the day of. I think I was caught up in the excitement and the fun. And so on the day I felt beautiful. But every other time that I've looked at the photos, I just think, gosh, like, you had 4 months, you could have done something. You could have lost 20 pounds instead of waiting until the week of and trying to do the 3-day diet and failing 10 hours in. And I used to think like, well, what if we ever do a vow renewal ceremony? I did really like my dress, and I was like, well, if we ever do the vow renewal ceremony and I decide to wear the same dress, I'm going to have to get it altered. Like that kind of started being like a little bit of a motivational thing in my head, because I was like, gosh, I can still hire the best seamstress and it's going to take her days to get it altered well enough to fit me when I get to my goal. But it's just, that's supposed to be one of the happiest days of your life. And every time on our anniversary, or if I walk by the wedding photo in the house, and every time I look at it, all I see was, look at the fact that you're wearing a high-waisted dress because you were trying to hide how fat you were. And ironically, it was actually a sleeveless dress. And so I look at that and I'm like, wow, look how fat your arms looked. Look how fat your face looked. And so I can't even look at them without feeling like I looked pretty and remembering the happiness of that day. And so that's something that I've got to change in my mindset and how I look at them.
You're fat and disgusting. You have a face only a father could love. You're stupid. You'll never be anything. You're worthless. You will never amount to anything. Nobody wants to hear what you have to say, so just shut up. When are you going to lose that weight? It's no wonder that you don't have a man in your life. You're disgusting. You can't do that. Only good little Christian girls do that. Or only good little Christian girls don't do that, depending on the day and what it was I wanted to do. You're so dumb. You're nice, but God, you're ugly. Why would anyone want you? You're going to hell because I ride a motorcycle. You need to quit messing around with that little thing you call a business and go to work at Walmart so you can get a pension. You don't deserve a good life. Nobody is going to want you. Nobody will ever love you. You just need to sit down and shut up and be seen and not heard. You need to stay in the background where you belong. Are you pregnant? When's the baby due? Aren't you too old to be having a baby? You haven't lost that weight yet. You're ridiculous. You're not going to be any good at that, so don't even try. It just wasn't our lot in life to have that kind of a life. That's a dumb idea. When are you going to start using that brain of yours? You never would know you went to college because of the words that come out of your mouth is ridiculous. Why can't you be more like Michael, who is my brother, who's a drug addict and an alcoholic, but he's not fat. So I should be like him. On the day I graduated from college at 50 years old, you just need to quit. How's this going to affect Michael? It's all your fault. Why do you have to be such a screw up and so stupid? Even though my brother is a drug addict and an alcoholic, he's the chosen child, and everything is all about him. I stopped at that point because it was just too emotional to keep going.
I can relate to so many of you and so many different things that you guys have said. This is something I perceive. I perceive that anyone that's never struggled with their weight thinks that all overweight people are like lazy and just not motivated. I've heard this so many times in my life. They say, "Oh, you have such a pretty face." And then I twist that because I've always struggled with my weight. I've been offered many incentives in my life to lose weight, of like vacations and wardrobes, and they think that's gonna be like incentivized. I've been told I'm not sure if you can go on that trip because that's a really physical trip and there's a lot of hiking. I'm not sure you're gonna be able to do that. I've also been told I'm not smart enough, I'm not like a good enough speller or writer. And then some of this is me, and then some of this is other people. I actually prefer to shop by myself. So then you don't have to hear like that doesn't look good on you, that blazer, you can't button it. Someone your size shouldn't be wearing that style. You need sleeves because your arms are so big. And so I feel like I think Donna mentioned this once. I feel like oh, we have to settle because there's like just not that many like cute clothes in the sizes that we have to pick from.
Half of family, your mother-in-law, women who the woman who asked you if you were expecting, obviously not knowing anything, on behalf of anybody who's ever judged you because of your weight, because of your health, who's ever made comments, on behalf of yourself for judging yourself to not be beautiful because of the number on the scale, on behalf of yourself for looking in the mirror and not seeing the beauty of God's creation, on behalf of yourself for pointing out the negatives versus seeing the beauty in the positives. Please forgive me.
I fully forgive you. I fully release you, and I bless you.
I forgive you, I release you, and I bless you.
I forgive you, and I release you, and I bless you.
Forgive you. I release you. You owe me nothing, and I bless you.
I forgive you. I release you. And I bless you.
I fully forgive you. I release you and I bless you.
That I am special. I am enough. I am good enough. I am a great mom. I am a great leader. I have a great business. I know how to make money. I am a great talker. And that is a good benefit. I am funny. I have lots of friends. I am worth spending money on, even if I go spend it on myself. I have 5 fabulous sons that are all God-fearing Christian men, leaders and pillars in the community, and I am very strong, and I am very determined, and I know that because of my belief and capabilities in myself and God's help, that I am a big part of, I know that I influence them, and I am an influencer in the community. I know I have a lot of people or young girls in the community or in the schools that look up to me. I know that I am an influencer. And as a single mom raising 5 sons in a very, very, very rural community, to be able to support us, and that's a big deal.
The truth is, I am beautiful, no matter my size, no matter other people's opinions. The scale is just data to be used. I am a great mom, a great granny, a great wife, a great daughter. I am enough, and God created me in a special way. May I find ways to encourage others and never, ever judge or criticize.
I am an athletic mom who is disciplined and intentional. I am a healthy eater. I am a sexy wife. I am confident. I see the best in others and myself. And I am a daughter of God.
The truth is, I am beautiful. I am healthy and fit. I am a smart and strategic businesswoman. I am blessed. I am becoming the woman I was meant to be. I was beautiful on my wedding day. And when God said his creation was good, he was talking about me.
The truth is, I am healthy and fit. I am strong. I am enough. I am worthy. I am funny. I am a good mom and a good grandma. I'm a good friend. I'm a good business owner. I'm a good leader who's making an impact for the kingdom. And I'm a badass mama that rides a motorcycle.
Yes. Yes.
The truth is, I am beautiful on the inside and the outside. I am a very hard worker. I am enough. I am a great friend and a great listener. I am trustworthy. And I have lots of family and friends that love me.
Awesome job. Listen, I want you guys all to listen to me. Tonight, when you look in the mirror, the one thing I want you to all look in the mirror and say, I am beautiful. I am fearfully and wonderfully made on purpose. It is so vital for you to remind yourself that you are beautiful. So vital. Because beauty has nothing to do with weight. You know, you guys are getting healthy to be healthier. And so it's learning to love yourself where you're at, learning to love yourself while you're working on who you want to become. And so often people get in the habit of, I'll be beautiful when I get to this size. I'll be beautiful when I don't have these rolls. I'll be beautiful when I don't have this extra chin. I'll be beautiful when. You're never gonna hate yourself to the body you want. It's about building the habit now. I'm so very proud of each and every one of you. It took courage tonight. It took faith. It took trusting the process. It took all of those things to be brave enough and have the courage enough to go through those things. Something that most people won't do. Most people will never work on themselves the way you are working on yourselves right now. You're going to take that list.
Divine negative thoughts, no more to enter my mind. No negative thinking, no criticizing, no judging. Goodbye, negative thoughts. Don't let them off.
No more griping, complaint.
I forgive you, I release you, and I bless you.
Forgive. And not hold on to any of those bad feelings anymore.
I didn't think that this part would feel quite how it is feeling. Like, it's very satisfying to see it burn up, and I reject all of these seeds. They are forever out of my mind, out of my garden.